Welcome to Reclaim by Cadogan. I frequently get asked by newish clients, new clients, why I chose solution focused hypnotherapy as opposed to all the other different therapies that there are. And I have three very good main reasons. I have many reasons, but these three were my main reasons. The first of those reasons, which I think is the most important, is that it's based on neuroscience. So it makes sense logically, and it made sense to me, and I could see how it would help me. I could see how I could resolve my issues. And that for me was so important and huge. Also, I then found neuroscience really interesting and started looking more and more into that. But that was my first main reason. My second reason was that solution focused hypnotherapy works quickly. And I've had years and years of therapy and not really moved the needle. So for something to work quickly, well, I wasn't going to be spending a lot of money on it. It is still going to be expensive. It's not a cheap therapy, but not for long. And that made a lot of sense to me. So that was the second reason. And just to clarify, for most people, it's about 8 to 12 sessions for flashbacks, whether they're PTSD or, well, whatever they are. Each flashback is about 1 to 2 sessions. And for phobias, it's 3 to 4 sessions. Some people resolve any issues they have in 5 to 6. But for most, it's 8 to 12. And for some people, myself included, it's a few more. So it really depends on how long you've had the issue, how much you put into it, um, what your life's been like. But usually 8 to 12 sessions, and that was my second reason. My third reason was that you don't have to talk about all the things that you find embarrassing or that you're ashamed of, your trauma. You don't have to relive your trauma. And that that is great because if you have experienced trauma, you'll know that you feel awful talking about it. But also, we know from the neuroscience that reimagining, imagining, well, our brain can't tell the difference between imagination and reality. And we know this. We know this when we're in a 3D film. So, and you duck. It's because you can't tell the difference. So, for someone to relive their trauma, excuse me, in their therapy, it's just stressing them enormously and it's not good. So I like the fact that I didn't have to re experience trauma or be ashamed of the things that I'd experienced and have to talk about them. So that was my third reason. Now, how I began therapy initially was that I was in a very abusive relationship. Sorry. I was in a very abusive relationship and I was having panic attacks. Now, I didn't know they were panic attacks. I went to see my GP and I was referred to a psychologist. And I saw that psychologist for years. Her name was Garni. She was lovely. I had great rapport with her. But when I first went to see her, I didn't want to tell her why I was having the panic attack. So I would just vent about my family, my parents, and so on. Probably my partner. And it was only when he went to see her, he happily divulged everything. And I was actually quite annoyed with him. And I think the reason for this is, and it's interesting, it's an interesting dynamic that victims, I call them victims. We're victims until we've resolved it. And now we're survivors. But when you're a victim of abuse, it doesn't matter what type, whether it's violence, physical abuse, emotional abuse, or sexual abuse. Somehow we, the victim, take it on ourselves that it's our fault, that somehow we deserve to be abused, that it's something that we've done, or it's just who we are. And so the victims always seem to feel ashamed, embarrassed, humiliated, and they don't want to. They don't want to talk about it. Conversely, the perpetrator doesn't, as a rule, seem to be embarrassed or ashamed of what they've done. Now, I can't say that's for every perpetrator, but certainly for a lot. And I found that really interesting. So Ghani learned about what was happening, and I did talk about it with her. but it still didn't move the needle. Now, sadly, she left. She went off from London to go and live in Australia. And I saw lots of other therapists. At that time, I started seeing other psychologists. I then went to see counselors. I went to see people that did NLP. The Paul McKenna, I phoned up the Paul McKenna place, I can't remember what it was, and saw one of his people at great expense. I saw people that did mixed therapies like Trevor Sylvester. I saw him for years. I saw, well, oh gosh, loads of different people. People for cognitive behavioral therapy. I saw people for eating disorders. I saw Nick and Eva Speakman. I saw hypnotherapists. Now, hypnotherapy is an interesting one because I am a solution focused hypnotherapist, but I don't use direct suggestion in the hypnotherapy. It's more trance therapy. And hypnotherapists tend to use direct suggestion. And from a neuroscience point of view, we now know why that usually not doesn't work. And the reason it doesn't work is because we all have amygdala in our brain. And the amygdala is a bit like a meerkat. It's on lookout and it looks out for danger. And for our amygdala, our primitive brain, it thinks that danger comes from change. And if you think about it, it makes sense from our ancient beings. We were in a world where if we went to a new location, we would have different terrain, we would have different weather, we would have different wild animals, we would have different plants and vegetation. And that meant change was dangerous. We could be eating something poisonous, there could be more hostile tribesmen or more predatory animals that will kill us. The terrain might be dangerous. So change was dangerous. And as a result, our amygdala looks out for change and it tries to step in and prevent us from changing. So when you have a direct suggestion like, I don't know, don't eat chocolate or don't drink alcohol or drink less, the amygdala goes, nah, we're gonna keep doing that because that kept us safe. And so it continues to push us to do the change, to make the changes very, very slowly. And as far as hypnotherapy is concerned, direct suggestion, we usually we want to make the changes quickly. So yeah, it doesn't tend to work. And I know there's the in all therapies and in all medication, there's the placebo effect, which is quite high. I think it's 44% or something. That can have an effect. But for long lasting change, my experience is that hypnotherapy didn't help me. And I know there are people it has helped, and I'm so pleased it has, but for me, no. So I had all of that, and I'm trying to think if there was anything else I had, probably. Um, I went through years and decades of therapy, tens of thousands of pounds of money spent on all these therapies. And for me, I didn't feel like I'd resolved anything. I didn't feel like I had recovered from anything. And then I heard about solution focused hypnotherapy. And as I said, those three main things were they immediately piqued my interest. And my first thought was, I'm going to train in it. I'm going to train in it, and then I'm going to help myself and other people. So I did. I trained in it, and I learned even more neuroscience, and I loved it. But it didn't change me. It didn't help me dramatically. It did help me. The knowledge helps for sure, but it didn't dramatically move the needle. And what I needed was the therapy. So I started seeing a solution focused hypnotherapist myself, and the change was dramatic. It really was. And for me, it moved the needle, and I feel like I've recovered. I'm still having therapy, but I feel like it made a huge difference. And that's why I'm making this YouTube, because I felt like it was so important for other people. I know there are a lot of people suffering right now. I know many people are struggling with anxiety, health anxiety, with sleep problems, with phobias, and with a myriad of things. People struggle with business, you know, confidence, with sports performance, business performance, with all sorts of health issues, minor health issues mostly, but fibromyalgia. Oh, well, it's not minor when you're going through it, but when people have IBS, tinnitus, And as I've mentioned, PTSD and OCD, and all of these things are um, really, really dramatically affected by solution focused hypnotherapy. Um, and for me, I just wanted people to know that this exists and put the word out there. And I knew that that people on YouTube are from the world over. So although I do solution focused hypnotherapy via Zoom and online, I also do it in a face to face in London. And many people will want face to face hypnotherapy, certainly solution focused hypnotherapy, rather. And they'll want to do it, but they won't be in London. And if you're far away and you want face to face, I felt that they wouldn't go searching for it. So there are solution focused hypnotherapists all over the place, definitely up and down Great Britain. They're in Cornwall, they're in Scotland. That's World's End Johnny Great. So, and all the way in between. So even if you don't want um, Zoom online hypnotherapy, solution focused hypnotherapy, and you want to be face to face, you can have this therapy. And I wanted people to know about that. So you don't have to come and see me. You can go and see someone else who will help you in solution focused hypnotherapy. So I really wanted to get the word out there so that as many people as possible know about this and therefore get the help. Because I want people to get help, and B, I don't want them to go through what I went through, which is so long desperately seeking the help, not giving up, trying different therapy after different therapy, and not finding something that really, really worked for them. So I hope that I've helped. I hope that this has spurred you to go and find a solution focused hypnotherapist in your area. Or actually, if I can help, I will put in the show notes my practice details, and you can contact me, because even if you contact me and say, I really like the idea of doing this, but I want to do it face to face, please can you help? I'm happy to give you people in your area that can help you. So I really hope this helps, and I hope this spreads the word, and I hope you all get as much help as possible from this therapy, solution focused hypnotherapy, because it's amazing.